Welcome to Office Hours, where today we're going to talk about how AI sucks. It's not good for you. Don't use it. Sto and I did not do a lot of prep before this episode. So as you can see, he is surprised by my take. But yeah, that's but that's what we're talking about. AI. Is it good for artists? Is it bad for artists? What should you know? What should you worry about? This is Office Hours, where we provide practical advice to independent artists so that we can make the creative space better and more accessible for everybody. And yeah, I think AI is terrible, bad, terrible, not good, no redeeming factors whatsoever. And if you're like, I understand. We're just going to jump right into it. I understand the appeal of it, right? And when we're talking about AI, we're talking about ChatGPT, we're talking about things like Grammarly, we're talking about, hey, put in your picture. And why did you make that face? It is the Grammarly is like it's a AI correcting your grammar and collecting information from you, and reading everything that you do. So everything from that to, here, send a picture of yourself and we'll make it look like your favorite artists drew it. Like, all of these things, while they seem fun and, maybe superficially are making life easier, I think have really harmful long-term consequences, especially for artists, especially for creatives. But Sto, you look like you're hiding from everything that I'm saying. So I'm really curious to hear what you think. Because I have a whole list of reasons why. Literally, like, my last newsletter was about how AI sucks. So
that's true. And I forgot to include the link. I will include the link. I'm gonna as soon as we're off here, I'm gonna include the link, because the reality is Nora is correct. AI is not good, but I'm not gonna be out here pretending like I don't use AI. Okay. I be Googling things. And especially now, where every time you Google something, you're getting an AI overview. Okay. I'm now, what I will say, I do not like at all the image stealing, the just I there's so many stories where AI and I think we're not even aware of how much AI, like, we're focused on like the ChatGPT, and like that is super important. But like, these companies are taking articles that have been written in the past and feeding them to a database. They are taking YouTube videos and feeding them to AI to take information and stuff like that. And so that I don't agree with at all. Now, and again, what I'll say is, like, I can't pretend that I don't use AI, but I don't use it as much as people be saying, as people out here do. Yep. Go ahead.
Because I hear what you're saying, but I think it's important to get to like the core of it, right? Like, what does AI do? AI is artificial intelligence. So it's literally in the words, artificial intelligence. It's not real. It's been programmed by people. So when you mention like those articles and stuff, what AI does is mine all of our content, every photo you upload, every email you sent, using every question you sent to ChatGPT, all your information that you give to ChatGPT, it mines it and then goes into this program that humans have created. So all the human imperfections, all the human biases are all in there. And so when Google gives you like an AI summary, we have come to trust Google. So we assume that it's true, and it's not always true. Right?
And that's a fact. What Nora just said is true. Like, the AI overview is not, like, people take that, will screenshot it and source that as fact. It is not. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
I can't stand when people use that as source because it is not. It is not.
it's not the same thing as research. But what it does is it now normalizes false information. It
100%.
normalizes. So on that sense, I think AI is really dangerous. Then for us as artists, what AI does is it dehumanizes and erases labor. We get really used to a bot quickly doing something for us, and we don't recognize that that bot is doing work based on articles that you wrote, based on images that someone else created. And they get really smart around it, right? Like I think it was Adobe that was like, hey, we're looking for artists that you love. Send us your favorite artists. Come to find out, Adobe, so they're asking people, and they're making it seem celebratory and positive, but they're creating their own AI software, like program, whatever. And so they're asking you to send your favorite artist so that Adobe can steal from them. And then, right? And so for us as creatives, it's really dangerous because already art and culture and like music, film have been considered disposable. There's no AI that's going to come do plumbing for you or carpentry for you, but there is AI that's going to make music for you, that's going to make art for you. And so it sucks for us who want to make this art because we are the ones that can be replaced by bots. But also, what that does is it interrupts the relationship between artist and audience. You're not going to build the same, we talk about this all the time, right? Like fans become fans because they care about you as an artist. And then when you tell them to buy your merch, they do it. Or when you tell them to sign a petition, they do it. Or when you tell them to boycott X, Y, and Z, they do it. And so now when the human artist has been replaced by a bot that has art, presumably no political leaning, but generally leaning that aligns with the state and the corporation and the capitalistic system and all the biases with which it's being programmed, the fan is not going to fall for the AI, right? Is not going to be mobilized by the AI. So the power of the artist to create change, right? And from Robeson to Baldwin to Kent, like our favorites throughout time and history have talked about how important it is for the artist to evoke change, to speak up against what's going on in the world. And so especially now in the world, especially for us in the US, in the time that we're living in where like authoritarianism and fascism and all these things are happening, it's even more scary that art is being replaced by corporation, because that's really what AI is. Art is being replaced by corporation. The relationship between artist and community is being interrupted. And so it's creating more separation between us. And then the third level of this is it's now created a moment of interruption, a breakdown in trust, so that when you see something, rather than being like, wow, I really felt something, or wow, I'm really moved by this, your brain, consciously or not, scans for, is this real or is this AI? And so the trust that we had, that trust is now interrupted because there's a doubt that's been introduced. And if anyone's ever been in a shitty relationship or anything, you know that the moment that that doubt gets introduced, trust becomes really difficult to gain back. And that's what AI has done to us. It has introduced doubt. So now we second and third guess things. So, for whatever, like, oh, it made it easier for me to write an email. Cool. Who the fuck cares? When the greater loss is something we'll never be able to gain back. And I think that a lot of people um don't take it as serious, especially when the people who are like the guy who won the fucking Nobel Peace Prize for AI is writing and talking about how we should all be worried and scared. Like, I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. The people who are like the leading knowledge around this are telling us we should be concerned. And so I think especially for artists, it's really important for artists and for fans, it's really important to take AI a little more seriously than we have recently.
And then it's like, I'm I I agree with everything that you just said in terms of like I feel like creative integrity has been completely just thrown out the window. And like you just said, like now everything has to be questioned. It's not just about, oh, well, this is, good for me to use. It's, it's, and I don't even think, did we talk about the environmental impact?
We
You
haven't
know,
even to that.
right. And so again, I'm not someone who like the studio Ghibli stuff that happened a couple weeks, or not a couple weeks, it's been over a month, I guess, at this point. That was wild to me because I feel like a lot of independent creatives kind of pivoted and started using and are still using it, to be completely honest. Um, and so there's you know, between the environment and the creative integrity and stuff like that, like there's so many different angles of problems, right, with AI and whatnot. And I'm not, I don't think using it for any type of like creation, I think I don't think that's right. Like writing, creating music, uh, art, graphic design, like all of that stuff.
I
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead, go ahead.
You're saying this, but you use, and I don't mean this critically, and I don't mean like genuinely asking from curiosity. Like you say this, but you, to your own, like in your own words, you use it all the time. And so,
Oh, not all the
or
time.
you said you use Chat GPT. Like, how do you reconcile the two? That you're feeding this machine the information that then it's using to take your peers out of a job, or like, right, it's all the same system, it's just amassing knowledge and information all the time. So how do you reconcile that?
I mean, I guess for me personally, I'm not using it to create images. I don't use it to write bios or any type of stuff that I actually do like for work or whatnot. Um, a lot of times it's just for random ideas. Um, I've never used it on like this create this image for me so I can use that across the way or whatever. Like, and I the reality is like I guess the only way I reconcile it is by every time I Google something, it's AI. I'm using AI, and so like I I guess in my head, as long as I'm not using it to actually create something. Like again, I'll never use that for a bio and take credit for that. I'll never make an image and say that I made that on my own. I'll go in Canva and do my own thing or whatever, I guess. Whereas I feel like others are using it and acting as though they created something that they genuinely did not.
So for you, it's you're not using the outcome, but you don't see feeding the machine, so to speak, as part of the problem.
I definitely I definitely do. I definitely do. Um, I guess for me, it's one of those deals where it's like I'm using Google, I'm using other social media platforms that are also feeding into the machine, and so you know, at the 5% of the time that I'm using AI for actual help, like I'll sure.
Yeah. That's interesting because I don't think of Google as the same way as Chat GPT, and maybe that's where I'm like misinformed. But I think it's scary to get into that place of like, well, like it's all fucked, so we can't do anything, right? Like as someone who's f- tried to do like a lot of social justice work, that thought of like we can't fight it, so we might as well join it, is how systems of oppression win, and it's how people get exploited. And I think especially around AI, like it's really easy to be able to say, well, it makes things easier. But what that does then is it doesn't get to the root cause of problems, right? It offers like an individual band-aid solution for an individual rather than addressing the systemic points where like we're burnt out. Like if we're using AI because we don't have time to do X, Y, and Z, the problem is why don't we have time as a society? So where that's an opportunity for us to like push back against structural things, we take on the responsibility, use AI, and let that point of conflict, we let it go. And so I think there's a lot of conversation around AI is like, oh, it's making things more easy or more accessible, but it's actually not fighting, it's not actually creating more access, or it's not addressing the systemic root cause. It's like a band-aid solution. Um, and I honestly, I just think we deserve better. I think artists deserve better. I think like as humans, we deserve better. I don't think it benefits anybody. I mean, we're already seeing what's happening with like Elon and like corporations taking over and having so much access to things. Once we and there, oh, fuck, there's like a psychological term for it that once like one boundary falls, more boundaries will fall.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I think for artists, like I think we deserve better than what we're accepting. And then, like you said, that's not even mentioning the environmental impact in the middle of a climate crisis. Like literally, the world is on fire, and like all the things that are happening. And we're like, but it's really important for me to have Chat GPT tell me a joke. Like, what are we complicit in? I don't know.
No, absolutely. And I agree. And I guess like my question, I suppose, is um, with how AI has come up over the last like, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, I guess, does because a big argument has been AI music having actual creative integrity in this space. So we don't even obviously we don't care about the Grammys here. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead, finish your I'm like, well, what even is creative integrity? And who is defining it? Like,
Hmm.
like, are the
But that's what the AI people say.
that's what I'm saying. You can't let the people intending to do harm tell you that they're good,
Right.
right? So, like, of course, the AI people are going to tell me creative integrity, but there is no creative integrity if you've ripped off a million, even if it's the sum of a million contributions. Like, what is creative integrity? You're not crediting anybody. It's a way to make money without having to pay anybody. So you're exploiting our collective labor and creativity. Like, so like I think it's also important to question like these messages that we're getting, who's writing the narrative about AI and what does it mean and who benefits from it, because I don't want to hear music made from a bot. I don't think
It-
that
mhm.
benefits anybody. And we've seen what happens when they do. They turn into racist fucking caricatures.
If there weren't already.
Like it's yeah, I sorry, and I interrupted your train of thought, but
No,
again, like
you that's what I was getting at, essentially. Like just this idea that like, we've seen it's gone in directions I've never expected, like AI samples, you know what I mean? And, you know, AI production, AI beats and stuff like that. And it's just like I don't like I don't see like and again, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've definitely had artists send me AI written bios that all read it almost exactly the same. And it's just like, what are
I'm
we doing?
on a board that gives out grants, and not only are the AI written grants so obviously AI,
Ooh,
you
grants?
we end up and our application is like, we've been very intentional about making it simple, accessible, straightforward. We say like, we don't care if your spelling is wrong, right? Like,
Right.
not only are we end up reading the same application, but those applications are the worst.
Yep.
So, and we're an anti-capitalist grant. So the fact that you're using AI automatically tells me you're not values aligned to begin with. So like, bye. But like this thing that you think is helping you is actually the thing that's taking you out of the running.
Mhm.
So like a poorly written human, like poorly in the terms of like grant, like how do I say this? Like AI is not going to communicate the thing that a human can communicate for what we're looking for in a grant or what a fan wants to see from an artist. And I said the other day, who was it? Zuckerberg was like, people need AI friends. What? What?
Ooh, I didn't hear that.
And I think we have to really understand and question, why are these corporations that we're critiquing and challenging, right? Like in this moment of like we're
On
pushing
multiple levels, by the
right,
way.
like why are they insistent on selling us relationships with bots that they can control rather than with other humans? Because the relationship between humans is, you can't control it, you can't predict it. And so that's where that's where so much resistance and like things can happen. And so the fact that you have all these things that are trying to interrupt our relationships with one another, that should be a huge red flag. That's Handmaid's Tale, that's 1984, that's every Octavia Butler book you've ever read. That's all the dystopian, like there's a reason we've been warned about these things. And again, coming back to like, if art is a way that allows humans to connect with each other, AI interrupting AI art interrupts that art to human connection, which interrupts the human to human connection, which is bad for us. And then we wonder why we have a loneliness epidemic. Because we're interacting with bots and not humans.
Exactly. Exactly. Dang. Even that we're at 22 minutes somehow. So okay, here we go. I'm gonna give you a little speed round here.
Oh,
I know you're gonna reject all of them, but I just want to hear your quick
I'm
take
ready.
on all of this stuff. All right,
I'm
I
ready.
got three for you. AI article writing.
No, I don't want to
Okay.
read it. I don't trust someone who uses it. Nope.
AI um, beat production.
Nope.
Okay. AI sample creation.
Nope.
Okay, and my last one, the bonus round, I guess. AI commentary in general. And by that I mean like, I don't know, insert movie here comes out and it's AI reaction commentary, etc.
No. You want It's bad enough we have real humans making us feel bad about one another. Now you want bots to what is wrong with us? No. And I'm telling you, this shit starts like, oh, it's so funny now, but as it no, no, there is no happy end. No.
And there we go, rapid fire. That was nice and quick, nice and
And like
easy.
these questions are making me upset. Like I'm like, no. In what world are
Because it's
people?
ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. No, no, no. And part of this is like, like I get again the false logic of, well, I can't afford to pay, so I'll do this. And so it interrupts the relationship. It privileges capitalism over everything else. We get these like samples. There's a reason we sample. Sampling is about like a legacy and like a historical thing that adds richness and context to a song. So like taking all that context away makes everything worse for everybody. Like there's something that we're losing there.
Right.
And so like rather than relying on AI, I go back to build your relationships, think about creative compensation, challenge the systems that are burning you out or stressing you out or interrupting your ability to make art. Like, it's not like, and maybe I sound like a fucking like party pooper, Debbie Downer, like whatever, but like we deserve so much better. And we have an opportunity now to like nip it at the bud rather than it gets really worse. And then 20 years from now, artists are like, dang, that generation really failed us.
I actually think that's a prime and perfect note to end on there. Um, Give me even 5 seconds. I'm going to put Nora wrote honestly an incredible newsletter, and I'm subscribed to a lot. I'm not saying it, huh?
I said I wrote it, not AI wrote it, not a bot wrote
Right,
it.
right. An incredible article, newsletter, excuse me, about AI and whatnot. It's a must read because I don't really see anybody kind of talking about it on this kind of level, and so give me even actually I'll say 10 minutes to squeeze that into the description. You should read that for sure. I love episodes like this just because this is important. Like, I'm not even going to pretend I'm always on the right side. 9 times out of 10, I'm on the wrong side. And so, to understand what is happening at a bigger on a bigger scale, I think is very important. And so, we really appreciate you for coming through for office hours. This is where we're taking that break, right? I forgot the calendar. I can't remember. But
we have one more, not this week, but next week on the 19th. And then we're here if y'all have questions. Do you disagree with me? Tell me why you disagree. Drop your comments and reactions in the chat below. Share this with someone who like really loves AI, or share it with someone who's been critical of AI. As I say in every episode, these conversations is part of how we shift norms in the industry so that independent artists can be supported and thrive, because it is possible. And so we, as always, appreciate your time and your energy. If you want to throw a tip or a donation for us, Sto and I split the money, but it allows us to continue doing what we do because we do it for the love and the art and the culture, and all the good stuff, for the community, for the connections. And that's why we want to hear from you, like I said, in the comments, all the good things. People over algorithms.
I was about to say, real people over algorithms, over AI. Like, come on. All right. We're out of here. Thank you for joining us for 91 episodes. We're just getting started. We're out of here.
Bye.
Peace.